to introduce to you my esteemed colleague, Sara Horowitz, my predecessor as director of the Center for Jewish Studies, a renowned scholar of Jewish literature, who is going to speak about writing and the Canadian Jewish context.
It's such a delight to see people here to honor writing, to see people who I think may not have been on campus before, to see you here in celebration of such an important thing really warms my heart. I feel like I'm kind of personally a bridge between the Koschitzky Center for Jewish Studies and the Canadian Jewish News, because in addition to being part of our faculty at the Koschitzky Center for Jewish Studies at York, I also write for the Canadian Jewish News. So if I were wearing hats, I would have to be wearing two of them. And I thought I would talk about why the Koschitzky Center has, in a sense, partnered with the Canadian Jewish News in this important award for emerging Jewish writers, because we know how vital Jewish Canadian writing is to maintaining a rich and vibrant culture. Before these awards are presented, I thought a few words about what makes this award so important. Like most professors, I like to ask questions whose answers at first blush seem obvious, even trivial. But then it turns out, the more you think about it, the less obvious and more complicated these answers become. So first question, what is writing? What does it do? Many writers have referred to the act of writing as a pleasant agony. Pleasant because the writers deeply want to write. Agony because writers struggle with language, against language, and beyond language. Sometimes when you want to write, nothing comes out, or what comes out seems clunky, or off the mark, or not what you meant to say at all. And at other times when you write, you are in the zone, where words and images and patterns and powerful language flows from some place deep inside of you. Elie Wiesel acknowledged this once when he explained about his own writing. It's a pleasant agony. I am myself only when I write. Writing is risky business, not only because it's unpredictable, but because it involves exposure to others, of things that come from inside your mind, your heart, your imagination, your convictions. A writer bushwhacks a path into uncharted territory, and sometimes ends up in unanticipated places. And then the writer retraces that journey with others, with readers. Singers will tell you that unlike musicians who play an instrument that is external to them, for singers, the instrument is one's own self. Similarly for writers, no matter what the topic, the writing is also, in some measure, the self. My second question, let's ask, what is Jewish writing? What does it do, and why is it important? Jewish writing, one way or another, tells us stories about ourselves and tells our stories to others. Like any good writing, it holds up a mirror to a community and asks that we recognize in it parts of ourselves that we might not ordinarily notice or focus on. Jewish writing maps the individual story onto the Jewish continuum, onto what we in universities call the meta-narrative, a big, overarching story, larger than any one single individual story. Jewish writing has the ability to provoke us, to challenge us, to instruct us, to persuade us, to comfort us. It offers us prisms through which to interpret the world around us and to consider our place in the world. And because Canadian Jewish writing is not only particular, but also engages with important global and universal issues, it belongs in a broader Canadian conversation about all the important human questions about society, politics, meaning, and other things that direct and shape our shared lives in this great country and on this planet. So tonight we celebrate a fine group of emerging Jewish Canadian writers for their readiness to take the risks and challenges that define good writing and are so vital to all of us in our lives. Congratulations to all of you.